everyone out there in guitar land, Mike Heading here. We're going to break down a bluegrass guitar lesson for you today. We're going to talk about the most classic bluegrass guitar lick out there, the G run. Also sometimes called the Lester flat run. Once you start listening for this lick, you're going to hear it all over the place. It's a great lick to play after someone's solo to set up the next vocal verse that you would sing. It's a great lick to play in between measures when you need a little fill. You're going to see this lick all over the place once you start hearing it. I'm going to start with the absolute basic version of the G run, kind of the one note version. So you get the fundamentals, the foundation, and then we're going to look at building on that. So how do we make the G run longer? How do we play with the timing a little bit? How do we add some slides and hammer-ons? Maybe make it bluesier? Some of those kind of classic things you can do to spice up your G run. So a lot of those great bluegrass guitar players in history had their own kind of signature way to play the G run, whether it was Tony Rice, Jimmy Martin, or Lester Flatt. And I'm going to break down some of those. But mainly for this lesson, I'm going to show you 12 different G runs that kind of play with the timing, play with slides, play with hammer-ons. Basically just a bunch of different ways to play that classic G run so you don't get sick of playing it, because you're going to have to play it quite a bit if you're playing bluegrass guitar. And if you're watching the preview of this lesson, you can head over to my website, MikeHeadingMusic.com, and grab the full-length lesson. You'll get access to watch all the videos, and you can download the tabs and the practice tracks I provide. Alright, here's 12 must-know bluegrass guitar G runs. Alright, let's start breaking down this basic G run guitar lesson. And the G run is probably the most classic bluegrass guitar lick. It's a fill lick that you'll hear a lot of times at the end of a vocal line. Also sometimes referred to as the Lester flat run. He was kind of the first guy that popularized this lick. But once you start listening for the G run, you'll hear it all the time in bluegrass. And there's a lot of variations on it, but we're going to start by breaking down the very basic G run, and then we'll look at some ways to kind of expand upon it. So first, let's just get our chord we're working out of. We're working out of the key of G for this one, and we're going to do our bluegrass G guitar chord. So I got my middle finger on the 3rd fret of the lowest string. I've got my first finger kind of muting the 2nd fret of the 5th string. 4th and 3rd string are open, and then I've got my 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string and my pinky up on the 3rd fret of the high E string. And again, I'm muting my 1st finger, so you get a really full sounding strum when you do that. And you can do a pick, strum, or you can do pick and then a down up strum. The basic position we're going to be working out of. So we're going to do a pick, strum, and then we can do our 4th string, and then 2nd fret, and then open 3rd string. So the basic G run is in its absolute most simplest form. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And again, all I'm moving is my 1st finger down 1 string, and then playing that note, and then hitting the open 3rd string, which is the kind of the ending note you want to hear, which is our G, right? So you got, and really try and make those 2 notes pop out. You know, you can kind of keep your strumming quiet. The other way you can do it is a pick, strum, and then down, up, and then hit the 2nd fret, which can sound nice. You have. First thing I maybe would do would be figuring out how to fit it in context. You could do a G, D, right here. Let's do that again. D, or G, D, G run. Let's do that a few times. I think the most important thing is really staying in your position. If you start taking off other fingers, you know, it gets a lot harder than I think it needs to be. If you watch, you know, some really good bluegrass guitar players like Tony Rice or Brian Sutton, they do very little movement with that G run. It's really just that one finger. So that's the most basic G run. It's just that one note and then open G string, third string, G note. So it doesn't really matter too much what strumming you do beforehand. It's always 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3. So really just focus on the counting of it, I think, because then once you come up with variations, you can keep that timing solid, and then really you just make the G run longer or shorter. And I think starting with the absolute shortest version is good, because then you know what's the least amount of notes I need to put in there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, so that's G run number 1. So that's, again, the most basic form. That's kind of the standard one I think of. Now let's look at some variations. So one common one you'll hear is doing, instead of just second fret and then open third string, you're going to do a pull off on the 2 open pull off. So you'd have the same timing, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Get a really solid pull off there. Again, I'm keeping my other fingers down. That helps you get power to push on that pull off. You could push up on the string. I like pulling down. And that just takes a little bit of practice. Again, keep your right hand moving. So let's do that same G, D, G with the pull off G run. Here we go. Let's do that again. Count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So I'd probably do that on maybe a little bit slower song. If the song was really fast, you know, maybe the simpler version is better. But again, what's really good practice about doing that pull-off version is keeping your right hand doing the exact same thing. So version 1 and version 2, right hand wise, are exactly the same. The only thing different is you're just doing a 2 open pull off with your left hand, but that shouldn't change your right hand at all. And that's really good practice. If it changes your right hand, then you did something wrong. So you know, practice that, or just practice the pull off on its own if you need to. Okay, now let's look at version 3. We're just going to spice it up, make it a little bit longer. So we're going to do. So again, we're extending the G run. So we still have that end note, the 4th fret, and then open 3rd string again. But now we're going to extend it longer. So we're going to do pick, strum. So 1, 2, and then you might have to move your hand down a little bit, but try and keep in the same position if you can. But you're basically going to do a quick 1 to 2 slide on the 5th string, and then open D string, and then 2nd fret, and then open. So, and slide quick on that one. It's what would that be? 3 ands. Excuse me, 3 ands. So it's down, up with your pick. Do that with the GD. Here we go. A little faster. So you could also do that one with the pull off once you get it down. So remember, all these G runs, they're just subtle variations on the same thing. So you know, I think just get that basic form down, and then just think of how much timing you have, and then you can really fill in the blanks later. I think if you try and memorize all these G runs, it's going to be a lot to remember. So I think, again, get the timing down and get the underlying concepts. Okay, adding slides, adding pull-offs, making it slightly longer or slightly shorter. Those are kind of easy things you can do to just, you're creating variations on the G run without having to memorize all these different variations. So I think that's really helpful. So let's try that again. And again, you can let the chord, you know, leave the chord off for a second if you just want to practice just the G run. Okay, so that's G run number 3. Let's look at number 4. This is kind of more like a Del McCoury inspired one. We're going to do that same lick, just with a slower slide. So we're going to do... So we don't do a strum this time. We pick the 3rd fret on the low string. And then we're going to do a quarter note slide. So instead of going 3 and 4, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. So really let that 1st fret hang out. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that can sound really cool. So we got... Here we go. I really like to give that first note an accent. It kind of really hangs out there. It's very dissonant, but it sounds really cool when you get it down. That's very, I think of that as like the Del McCoury G run, a great bluegrass guitar player. I call that like the slow slide. That's the slow slide. That's how I think of it. Okay, let's look at G run number 5. So this one we're going to change the last note from the 2nd fret. We're just going to make it the 3rd fret, and we can make it bluesy. So we got... So I used my 2nd finger that time. So same lick. That's the same as G run number 3, except we changed that last note to make it, instead of kind of a major sound, now we're going to do a bluesier version. So that's kind of more like if I was playing like a bluesy song like 9 Pound Hammer or something like that, that might be a good one to do. And your 2nd finger has to come down. I think that's easier than using your 1st finger, so your 2nd finger moves down there. So basically on any of these G runs, you could change that 2nd fret to the 3rd fret if you wanted to. You could do, you know, you could do the slow slide version with the 3rd fret. The 3rd fret just makes it bluesy. So that's all we're doing there. Pretty, not too hard there.